So the album we're here to talk about today that changed your life is It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back by Public Enemy.
So where did you grow up?
Southwest Philadelphia. My dad, when he passed away, they said you couldn't get a seat in the church.
You didn't go?
I couldn't.
Too much.
I have a shirt, tongue-in-cheek, that says, I want to sell out my funeral.
Did you get the feeling that he was proud of you?
Yeah.
How much did that mean?
And we've all had music that's been the soundtrack to our childhood, to the highs and lows that we've had in life. And what we want to explore here today is the albums that have changed our life.
So how would you describe yourself as a kid?
I was a dreamer.
And our special guest today is Shawn Stockman, and a special performance by Chosen Family.
I love your place.
Thank you.
Jeez,
We love books and we love vinyl.
that's awesome. You could spend you spend your whole life here. Like,
Do you read books?
I do. My favorite author is, two, Malcolm Gladwell and James Baldwin.
Oh.
So those are like my two.
What's your favorite Gladwell book?
I like The Tipping Point and David and Goliath. Like those.
Such a great twist on David and Goliath to see
It makes all the sense in the world.
David as the superior one.
It makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
That's what made him a great king, because he was a great tactician. He understood his opponent before his opponent understood him. And I think that's what makes a great warrior. Someone who doesn't use just the machismo and the firepower and all those other things, but understanding and scaling his opponent first. Take a look at his opponent and seeing where the chinks in the armor are, figuratively and literally. That's what made David so great. And that's, and again, breaking down that actual scenario, it just made all the sense in the world.
I love things like that shift your perspective in a way that you had never thought of it that way. Like the story's always been told as the little guy versus the big guy, but the way Gladwell shifts it, it's like, well, David had a gun.
Right.
He had the gun of that time.
He had a gun.
So he actually had the advantage.
Yeah. Also, David being a man of God, the scriptures talk about wisdom being the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, with all that getting, get understanding. Like, he understood. Like, that was the biggest point of that whole reference, is that David understood what was going on, what was in front of him, even when no one else did. When everyone else lacked the understanding or the information to see what he saw, that's what made him great. And that's what makes a lot of people great. They see things that we don't see. You can use biblical references, you can do modern day references. Like, there's a lot of people from Noah to Prince. A lot of people didn't understand him and didn't get where he was coming from.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, I think about this all the time. Like, as you get older, you just acquire wisdom through experiences.
That's it.
But when you look back, you're like, man, when I was younger, I was, you're chasing the wrong things, or you're pushing harder than you should. I mean, there's just a lot of things a lot of it's mindset, right? Too, like just your perspective. Like, as you get older, your perspective kind of shifts. Like, you see it different from the rearview mirror.
Yeah, your mind expands. You see more. You experience more. You run into more people. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, we all have spirits, and they're all meant to intermingle with each other for whatever reason. Whatever your purpose is on this planet, it's meant for you to meet the people that you're meant to meet in order for you to fulfill whatever purpose you're here on this earth for, to fulfill. So it's great that when you have that understanding, then the world just becomes wider, because you know that part of every man or woman's journey is to explore and to discover and to ask questions and to make mistakes and to perfect yourself, because it's a process.
Is that something that you're intentional about in your life? Like, do you make time to read or travel or do things that make you better or expand
All the time.
your thinking?
All the time. I'm blessed to have a job that allows me to do that in a more pragmatic level. Like, I'm able to like tomorrow, I go to the East Coast to perform for some people that I might not have ever met. That's a really good experience because that helps me understand people a little bit more just by interacting with them, just being on one side and they're being on the other. Like you can get a lot from that. I'm blessed to have that type of job where my job is people and being able to interact and fraternize and with other human beings that I might not have.
You ordered green tea, I think,
did.
right?
I did. Thank you so much.
That's going to be the best green tea we could find.
I believe you. I believe you.
Thank you, Michael. Do you make time to read and learn?
I do.
What is that process, or what is your approach?
Well, it's funny because reading for me is a luxury because I'm so busy and I have a lot to do on a day-to-day basis. For me to actually sit down and enjoy a book, people will say, well, you got the plane, but sometimes the planes, you're sleepy, you're tired, you're kind of loopy because of the flight. So it's like I try my best to etch out some time to sit and read a bit of a book or two. And even if it's a comic book, I love graphic novels and I'm a Marvel fan. So
really?
Yeah. So I'll read a few of those from time to time and
it's great storytelling.
They're amazing. A lot of people tend to get caught up in the fact that they're in pretty colors and you see zip, bang, and pow, and people may not take them seriously. But if you've seen a Marvel movie, where do you think the stories originated from?
Greek mythology, usually.
Yeah, but even so, like the comics themselves, a lot of people tend to shun, the comics because it's for kids or whatever. When I remember reading comics since I was 9, and there were words and scenarios that I didn't understand or appreciate until I got older. And I was like, this was a Marvel comic. And they were speaking some really deep things, which is, again, you can't judge a book by its cover, literally. Like they're actually really, really great stories and lessons.
So where did you grow up?
Southwest Philadelphia. Born and raised.
What did mom and dad do?
My mom did everything. Worked at a hospital, cleaning up bathrooms and toilets and from McDonald's and all that other stuff. And my father actually was, he was an engineer for the public transportation company there, SEPTA. He designed a lot of the lights and all the things when you go into the subway tunnels and all of that. So he was a really smart guy. He would read calculus books like it was a magazine. And I wasn't on that level at all. I won't lie. He was way smarter than I'll ever be.
Did you have siblings?
I do. I lived with 3 brothers and 1 sister, but I have 7 brothers and 2 sisters. Well, that's another interview.
Yeah. No, I was an only child with my mom, but I have 6 siblings.
Okay, so yeah,
half,
you kind of get it. You get where I'm coming from.
As a kid, what were your interests? Like, what was the early, things that kind of influenced you?
I was a dreamer. I remember probably now more than ever because I reminisce a lot, and I get real nostalgic in my days lately. I used to dream of space and stars, and at one point I was really into science and astronomy and those types of things, but music just, I guess, was more natural. I just got into that. Like it wasn't me trying. It was just me embellishing in something that I felt a connection to. So,
did music start in church?
I wasn't a church kid.
No?
No. My mom took me to a Catholic church when I was young, and no diss to the Catholic faith, but there's no real musical vibe in a Catholic school.
No.
So I was Catholic, Methodist, Baptist. So there was no one faith. My mother, I think, was searching too. So she went from one church to the next, and it didn't deter my belief in God. I believe that God does exist. I just learned different. I wasn't in a church choir. I wasn't a preacher's kid. I didn't listen to gospel until high school. I was a kid that listened to pop and rock music as a kid and hip hop and all those other things. Gospel music wasn't introduced to me until I went to creative and performing arts.
And my first concert was Andre Crouch when I was 5.
Oh, how about that?
Isn't that crazy?
I worked
in a
with
little Baptist church.
I worked with his son, Keith Crouch, who produced stuff for Brandy, and he did a few songs for us too. So yeah, Andre was the. Now, I'm not saying I didn't listen to gospel, I didn't hear gospel music, but it wasn't through the church.
So what was your first memory of music? Was it what your parents listened to, or what
it was what my parents listened to.
Which was what?
Philly International, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Gerald Butler, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight and the Pips, just R&B music. Like that's what my mother used to listen. LTD with Jeffrey Osborne and Barry White. She was a huge Barry White fan. So
was music something that brought everybody together in the family?
100%. Yeah. Like on Saturdays when we'd have to clean the house, she would put on a record player. Earth, Wind and Fire would blare through the house, and my sister and my brothers, we would act like the broomstick was a mic. That typical, that really happened. That wasn't just like in the movies. Like those things actually happened where you just kind of sat and, you guys do some dance moves and we're singing and we're dancing and all that. Yeah, so I think that's the characteristic of music. Like it's actual duty to bring people together and to create moods.
So how would you describe yourself as a kid?
Again, a dreamer.
Dreamer?
My eyes looked beyond my neighborhood. Like always. I remember waking up at 7 a.m. when nobody was on the street in the summertime. Before everybody woke up, I would get out and there would just be this little stoop like on my stairway, and I would stand up on the stoop and just look beyond the blocks. And when I was young, 3 blocks for me was like miles away. So I would just kind of look, and I guess I always felt like there was a world out there, even in my hood. And I don't have sob stories about the ghetto. I know a lot of people hear about the bad things that happened in the hood, and they did, but I thought it was beautiful. I thought where I lived was absolutely beautiful. Like it wasn't the most affluent, it wasn't a bunch of beautiful houses or anything like that, but to me, from looking from my innocent eyes, my block shined. Like it looked like a jewel to me. The sunlight would hit it perfect where it seemed like the beam would light up the whole street. Like that's what I saw. Everybody has their different perspectives and experiences in the hood, but mine was beautiful. I loved my street. I loved my neighbors. I loved my friends. We were poor, but it didn't matter. Like I was a very happy kid. And I had a great childhood thanks to my mother and my father.
If you went back and you were with, your friends from high school and you saw like how they turned out versus yourself, do you think that the difference was that you were a dreamer? Do you think that was the thing that set you apart?
Maybe.
Or is it the optimism?
I think it was a little bit of all of that. It's only now, and it's a shame that sometimes life tends to dim that optimism and that positive energy because you get beat down so much. But as a kid, I always thought the cup was half full. I never had a negative thought in my body. I always felt like something could come out of this, even if I was scared. And there were certain times where obviously parents have to push you into certain areas or certain points in life for you to understand certain things. But for the most part, I was a positive kid. Sorry, guys, I don't have a story about hardships in the hood because I had them, but it didn't matter to me.
Well, I think that's probably the lesson, isn't it? The way that you perceived it. Because we have a choice how we see things, right?
Correct. I have friends or had friends that are dead and gone or in jail because their path went different. I grew up in the same neighborhood. I played on the same streets. Football with them and half ball and tag and all other stuff. We're the same kids.
I mean, that's the stuff that fascinates me about human behavior is how people can start in the same place and then there's a, varying degree of difference between where they end up and the decisions, the mindset, their view on things. Well, I mean, your view on things really is what determines where you end up.
Life is nuanced. It's filled with little things that make up into big things. It's one big puzzle. I'll give you a story. I was in junior high school. A recruiter came to my junior high to speak about this school that was fairly new called the Creative and Performing Arts High School. Again, I loved music. So when I heard about that and then watching the show Fame, like on television, when you think of creative and performing arts, you thought of that show. And I was like, man, if it's anything like that, I want to go, right? So they said, okay, if you want to sing, which I did, you have to have a certain grade point average. Got that. But then you're supposed to have 3 sheets of music in order for you to audition and get evaluated. I was like, cool. So I was in choirs before and everything, so I'm familiar with certain things like Ave Maria and all that other stuff. So I'm going to grab those. I'm going to find those sheets of music so the piano can play it, blah, blah, blah. Couldn't find it anywhere in the city. I looked everywhere. So I go back home. It's the day of the audition. And I said, Dad, I'm not going. Just when I was living with my dad at the time. I said, Dad, I'm not going. He said, what do you mean you're not going? Why? I said, because I don't have any of the sheets of music. I'm not going to go there with nothing in my hand. They're going to reject me. He said, you don't know that. He said, you don't know. He's like, go. And whatever happens, happens. But you're never going to know if you don't go. So he said, that's what he said, take your black onto the trolley, go to that school, and sing. And you never know what happens. If I didn't do that, if my father didn't urge me to do that, I'm getting emotional thinking about it, I wouldn't be talking to you. That school allowed me to meet the 4 guys that allowed me to be in that group, that allowed me to be successful. That moment, that one choice, I could either have gone or not gone. And it could have changed everything. When we talk about living in the same neighborhood, the same block, yeah, we played together, but everybody went to their individual houses. And everybody had to live under certain circumstances and under certain conditions that, because of that, changed their perspective and changed their view on how they're going to live life. But people don't really get into that these days. People don't get into the minutia of development and what makes a person who they are. And it's the nuances. We tend to augment all of the melodrama of things, of people. Well, he lived here, so he has to be like, that's not true, because again, I'm a product of that. I did not grow up in the suburbs. My parents were not rich. Yet they gave me life.
Yeah, well, you don't have to have a lot of money to be a good parent, right?
Mm-mm.
You just have to be intentional and involved.
Love.
Yeah.
That's it.
So you go to the audition and what happens?
I got accepted on the spot.
But you didn't have
I didn't have anything. The teacher was named Dr. David King, God rest his soul. He told me to sing a few scales. I guess he saw that I could sing. He said, you're in. That was it.
Wow.
If I didn't make that choice, I don't know where I'd be.
It's amazing.
Thanks, Pop.
Yeah. So 1988, and what we're here to talk about, Public Enemy.
Hell yeah.
So tell me what's going on with you in 1988. So are you 16? I have that right?
Yes. 16. Yeah, I think so. 16, 17, 16. 16, yeah. I was 16. Hip hop was, I think, at its best around that time. Because that same year, you had Public Enemy, you had Big Daddy Kane, You had De La Soul, Juice Crew, you had EPMD, you had LL Cool J, you had Run DMC. Like, everybody knows those names. This came out, they had albums during that time. It was such an amazing moment in music. And it was also a moment for Black people to develop a level of self-pride. Public Enemy was an integral part of that, because where I guess you could say the musical version of the Black Panthers. White folks feared them and Black folks loved them because they understood the plight of what was going on at that time. The crack epidemic was heavy. There was a lot of racist things that was going on at the time. These guys helped me understand that through music, through their message. And it did help that the shit was dope too. They, along with the Bomb Squad, which was the production team, created what I believe one of the greatest and one of the most important records in history. Not just hip hop history, but history.
Is it vocalizing something that you already felt, or is it helping you feel something new, basically?
Well, I think I was always a genetic dissenter. Like I think because, again, of my father. The reason why was born in Philadelphia is because my father and mother were originally from Savannah, Georgia. And my dad was a local activist there. My grandmother, his mother, recommended that he leave because he was getting really popular. And you know, when you get popular back in the 60s and 70s and you were a Black activist, you didn't have a long life expectancy.
You became a target.
So she was basically like, listen, I understand that you want to do, but you got to go. It's getting too hot. You need to leave. So he went to Philadelphia. I say all that to say, I think it was always in me to have that type of spirit because it came from my pop.
What would your dad tell you about those times?
He told me an interesting story a month before he passed. Because he knew he was dying. So he wanted me to sit and talk to him. And he used to tell me a story about how his father, my grandfather, went through pretty much a very sad ending. At that time, he said that if you were a Black man and displayed weakness, they'd kill you. They meaning white people. He said,
what's an example of weakness?
Uselessness, not being able to fulfill their duties or being so docile that those white folks could bully you and practically end up
really
killing
passive.
you. Yes.
Okay.
They would kill you. They said if you were too strong, they would kill you. So most Black people would have to play the middle, which is very dangerous for them. My grandfather.
It's hard to find the middle too.
My grandfather being one of them. He was a bag handler in the local Savannah train station. And imagine being a guy that after a white man was hired, you have to teach them to be your boss. Just that in itself was just degrading. But he had to do it because that's what paid the bills. He had to turn on a certain type of persona at work, then come home and be himself. Well, after years of doing that, those personalities tend to mesh, and then you don't know which is which. And this is what happened to my grandfather, which led him to drink. And basically, he drank himself to death because he was trying to balance himself with trying to also stay alive and appease his superiors. My dad was very upset about that because he saw that turmoil in his father and it angered him, which is again why I think he went off and got into activism. But he would also tell me they used to have local papers in Savannah, and on the back, they would have the monthly lynchings. Every month there were a list of people that got lynched. And he said it was anywhere between 15 and 30 people a month of people that got hanged.
And it's in the paper to send a message.
It's in the back of the paper. You have the paper, and in the back, they give you a list of the people that got hanged this month. This is what he grew up in, and this is what he had to endure, which is why I think he excelled in school and became an engineer and all this. And he was successful, and he did really well for himself.
So when he's telling you that story, though, what is he trying to teach you or communicate?
He was just trying to prepare me for the world I'm about to enter. And the same way my dad did it, which was his view, my mother did it in another way, the way a mother does. She did it through cleanliness, right? I remember my mother showing me in the shower how to wash myself. She's in the shower, butt naked, and I'm like 6 years old. And she's showing me, hey, this is how you wash yourself. You get in here and you get in there and the whole thing, and I'm sitting there like this, And I do that to this day. The reason why she did that and the reason why every time I walked out of that house, I always had clean clothes, always had clean underwear, the whole 9 yards. She basically said it. She said, son, you're black, okay? And the perception is a little different with you. So you always have to be on top of everything. You have to be clean. You have to be respectful. You have to have mannerisms. Your shoes always got to be clean. You always have to come in with clean shirts, clean jeans, and everything. Why do you think I spend money on Tide and all that other stuff? It's for you to look presentable out in the streets. Because if you, as a black boy, don't look presentable, people will perceive you a different way. She's right. And it's active today. It's just as important today as me being 52 than when I was 8. I mean, she's right. And my dad, on the other end, he gave me a little more of a austere view on the world from a black person's perspective. These are how people are going to treat you. This is how people look at you. This is how people are going to judge you. And I'm just showing you. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just what it is. He used always to tell me the world does not revolve around you. So you have to learn how to deal with that and learn how to get along and figure out ways to live a good life.
What do you think now, being 52, of what your dad had to go through and how he processed it?
He did what he had to do. And I think he did it quite well. He was so good at his job that even when he retired, people were still demanding him. I just created a consulting firm just to get people to do what needs to be done. He was like, but I'm not trying to do this anymore. But his phones just kept blowing up and blowing up and blowing up. Another indication on his legacy is, and I didn't go, I was somewhere overseas or something like that. But I'm weird about funerals anyway. But when he passed away, they said you couldn't get a seat in the church.
You didn't go?
I couldn't. I couldn't.
Too much.
I think I was busy anyway, but I couldn't. I have a shirt, tongue in cheek, that says, I want to sell out my funeral. I think that's the goal.
Did you get the feeling that he was proud of you?
Yeah.
How much did that mean?
A lot.
When was the first time you felt like, hey, I did right by him and he's proud of me? Can you remember? Also, did he hold fame as something that was important?
He didn't
or
care.
Was it more about your work ethic?
He didn't care. He didn't care about that. Like, I think he was proud because everybody else was making a fuss over me. So he couldn't help but to acknowledge it So he was like, yeah, I don't even think he watched any of my shows or, he didn't care. He just wanted me to be successful. And I think one of the most endearing things was I gave him one of my trucks. It was I had a blue 4Runner, and I went and got another car. So I was like, here, Dad, that's for you. And when I say this man thanked me almost every time I talked to him, he was just so grateful for this truck. And it was just like, it's so great, it's useful, and blah, 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 blah. And that's when he moved back to Georgia. And he was just so happy about that. He was more happy about the truck than I think anything else, because again, I don't think he understood. He understood what was going on with me. I think it was just beyond his thinking. He didn't care. Like, he was proud, obviously, because people were happy for, I guess, me and what I've done or whatever. But again, it didn't matter to him. He didn't care about that. Like, he really just was happy that I was able to do what I loved. And one of the things that he always used to say was, be excellent. He's like, I don't give a shit what you do. If you're a trash man, it's like, be the best trash man in the city. He's like, don't do anything half-assed. Like, that was his whole thing. Don't ever do anything just to be average. It's like, be excellent. That was his thing. Be excellent.
So I didn't have a dad. My dad left when I was 2 months old. But my grandfather, my mom's dad, was kind of like my father figure. And he was one of those guys that, he's a fireman, work hard. And, he would always tell me, like, hey, if somebody pays you $4 an hour, give them $8 worth of value, and you'll always be in demand. But that was, show up on time, work hard. That was his thing. And when I was successful later, he had cancer, and he came down to visit me here in California. So he's from Washington. And I was so eager for him to see how successful I was. And I wanted him to be proud of me. Like, I really wanted that. And I remember he's sitting in my office, big office, and, I'm real important or whatever. And he's like, what time do you get to work? He was more concerned about my character.
Right.
He didn't care about anything else. It was about the character. I realized that he was proud of me way before I thought he was.
Yeah.
Because it was about, being a good person and working hard more than...
That's it.
He didn't care about cars and houses and that sort of stuff. And I'm sure your father was probably the same way.
He was exactly the same way.
It was about your character.
That's it. That's all. Like, he really made no big fuss of any of that stuff. Like, he just kind of... I would call him, I would talk to him. He's a great conversationalist. Like, he always... It was reciprocal. Like, he asked me questions, I would answer it, and then he would kind of break down what I said and why I said it, but not in a bad way, but just more so just like, okay, well, think about it this way. When we did talk, I have a, let me see. Hopefully I can hear it. Hopefully I won't embarrass myself. I don't know what urged me to do this, but I recorded a conversation of me and my pop. No one's ever heard this except me. So I'm gonna see if I can find it. Hopefully I can.
Was he back in Georgia at the time?
I mean, you can still answer. I'm gonna try and find it, but
what did your dad think of Martin Luther King?
He thought he was great. He was just sad that he didn't finish the job. He wasn't allowed to. I have my views on MLK myself.
Which are what?
A lot of people talk about the I Have a Dream speech. The one where he was at the Capitol, and it was great. But I think what was an a greater speech was the mountaintop speech.
Right before
He died. When you watch that and when you read the transcript, he was kind of babbling. It was almost like he was kind of muster up whatever was in his spirit to say until it got close to the end. And
something clicked.
Yeah.
There's a dramatic shift.
Yes. And that's when he started talking. That's when he started talking about the Pharaoh's court. Because at first, MLK was talking about peace and togetherness with everybody and coming together. But that speech and the days leading up to that speech, it changed a little bit. It was more focused on we as Black people need to stay together. Like we need to stay together. When he goes into my favorite part is when he says, and I'm paraphrasing, when he says, you know what happens when Moses went into Pharaoh's court? He said things started to change. And which is true. Read the story. Moses was not an Egyptian. Yet he went into that court and changed the just the pages of history because of his importance and how he integrated into the system, led his people out of the system because he understood the system, because he was taught in it, right? It was a lot of deep like Martin was dropping jewels like that a lot of people didn't really catch up on. He was basically saying that it was when the slaves got together and formed unity. That was the getting out of slavery. He said, now let's maintain unity. And that's when he went into the mountaintop speech, which I believe, if anybody knows that story of Moses not being able to see the promised land because he sinned. So he saw the promised land from a mountain. He was able to see the land of milk and honey from the mountain because he was not allowed to enter the kingdom. I think that was him alluding to the fact that I know I'm going to get killed.
Yeah. Can you imagine the pressure?
Yes. He knew he was dying. He didn't know when, but he knew he was going to die. That's why he made that speech. I may not get there with you. That's what he said. He said it. He knew he wasn't going to make it. He was like, but stay united. That was the whole thing. Stay united. Stay connected with each other. Do the right things. Utilize the system like Moses did to get to where you need to go. There was a lot of jewels in that speech that he left us with, and the next day he was killed. The next day. That's crazy. And my father felt the same way. He just felt he was saddened and angered.
Did your father align with him in the nonviolence perspective?
I don't think so. Like I never really get into what my dad's approach was, so I don't want to say. But me knowing my father, again, he was very diplomatic, and I think he tried to do whatever he could to find a diplomatic solution, but I don't think he was afraid to throw up his hands. That's who he was. Like, it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's figure this out. But if you don't want to talk about it, we ain't got to do that either. That's the type of man he was. But again, I know him because he's me. Or rather, I'm him. Very peaceful dude. And again, he'd rather work out a peaceful solution.
Yeah, but in a lot of situations, that wasn't an option.
That was a lot of situations in world history. Here's one of the most, I guess, the saddest part about any historical uprising was that whenever there was a regime change, there was violence. No one just handed over the keys to the kingdom without a skirmish. I hate to say it, but that's just the way it goes, even in this country that we live in. England just didn't give it up. They had to squabble up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't want to think of these things, and no one likes to talk about those things. No one likes to discuss those things because it's a gruesome thought. But that's just been our history. Whenever there's a change in a system, heads got knocked. For lack of a better analogy, was January 6th. That guy isn't president just because people voted him in. If anybody thinks that way, they're crazy. Those supporters got up and started a fight. A literal fight. Violence occurred. People died because they were not happy with the system. Because they, of all people, understand that if things need to change, we'll have to crack some eggs. And that's what their intention was. And the guy that's in the chair fomented that. We all know that. It's not a political thing. It's just this is just common sense. This is facts and figures. We all saw the same.
I think it's common sense.
Yeah.
No, I don't. There's no. The thing about politics that I always say, because people say don't talk politics, is I'm like, you can change my mind. Like, I'm not so sure about anything.
Correct.
I love talking about stuff I want to understand.
100%. 100%.
I'm not trying to impose my opinion because I'm not so sure that I know everything,
Right. And I don't ever want to feel like I know everything.
There's always kind of two sides to it, too.
Oh, no, that's it. Darn it. This ain't it. I'm sorry. I thought I saw a dad, but I'm going to try to find this.
It's funny, the conversation about your dad's more fascinating than Public Enemy.
Yeah, I mean, we can get to that, too. But I think a lot of why I like Public Enemy is my pop. He taught me, just like Chuck D and Flav did, about Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and Nat Turner, and Farrakhan, and these guys brought up those names, which were familiar with me, and I was like, well, let me just do more research. And just the idea to connect with your ancestry and your history is what these guys did. And they just did it to a dope beat, which made me, get into it that much more. So in high school, I was walking around with the red, black, and green medallions and the clock and the whole thing. Although it was a daunting time, it was still a beautiful time and a proud time to be Black. And they helped me with that. That album helped me with that.
Did it give you confidence?
Yeah. It gave me a better understanding of who I was. And again, just cemented what my father was trying to instill in me in the first place, as far as like knowing who you are and all of that. And they kind of helped with that. So it made my dad seem even cooler, because now I can have conversations about Public Enemy, which he didn't listen to. But when I brought up certain names, he'd be like, oh yeah, well, blah, 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 blah. And we'd have that talk. I think that's what good music does. It connects generations, which is not so much the case for, I think, today's music, which is weird. You would think that in 2025, we'd have a better grasp on what connects people, whereas now it's less about connecting with people and more about connecting with advertisers.
Yeah, but would you agree that there's an opportunity there for somebody to step in and do it?
It's always an opportunity.
Yeah, just somebody's doing it.
And there are people that are doing it, but you'll never hear about it because this world is fueled by, again, advertisement. No matter how good you are. And I know a lot of rappers and singers and musicians that are amazing, but they're not on the right soapbox. It's all about the soapbox. The nicer and prettier the soapbox, the more people will draw to you. That's what it is. And these days, just like everything else, I mean, it's not just music, it's sports, it's technology, it's everything. But these pillars of societal development are being bought out by billionaires that have no real understanding of what it is. They're just trying to replenish their trust fund. They don't really give a shit. They look at the portfolio and the books and see how much it's worth and see how much percentage and growth it could create for them, and they buy it.
Isn't the lesson from the past that if we stuck together, we could fight that? We're allowing it to happen. We're allowing them to create a problem and solve a problem. That we're allowing them to tell us a narrative that we believe and distract us.
Yeah.
But isn't there also the possibility that we say no to that?
It's always a possibility. But we have to get past our own hatred. We have to get past it. That's the problem. This world is being fueled by the wrong energy. And it's being constantly drilled in our heads to feel a certain way and to be a certain way, to act a certain way. We didn't shake the spell yet. You're 100% correct. It is always an opportunity to join together. But again, history always repeats itself. This is no different than what happened in the 1920s and 30s and 40s, where a group of people pitted one group of people against another group of people because it benefited them.
Oh, yeah.
There was a period where we kind of got out of it, but I just believe that a lot of things that are happening has a lot to do with the spirit of the person. They have to change that. Like, they have to unbelieve that this person is evil, or this person is lazy, or this person is bad, or this person is a criminal, or this person is this or that. Blah, 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 blah. That was implemented. And we know too well, when I say we, I mean Black people, as far as psychologically, when something is drilled in your head, that you literally become unmade. You become some creation.
Isn't it kind of back to the lessons that your mom and your dad taught you, in the sense that what they were saying was to focus on the things you can control?
Yes.
And we're not focusing on the things we can control. We're externalizing control to the outside forces.
Because
and we're worried about things that we really have very little say in.
Yeah.
But we take back our power by focusing on the fact that we're more similar than we are different.
Absolutely. But
it isn't serving us as a group anymore.
It's not. But again, we're under a spell. Society is created.
But we have the ability to
we've always
change
had
the focus.
We've always had it. But again, when you're hypnotized, and you're constantly being, again, drilled with this type of mentality, and they make it so easy.
Oh yeah, it's an addiction.
They make it so simple to just don't focus on your life. Don't focus on yourself. Focus on the reality TV star who got caught cheating on their girlfriend. And now you can participate in dogging someone based off of your opinion. And then now you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
And you haven't changed a damn thing about your own life.
Well, and also you're getting further and further away from connection with real people.
100%.
Because it's all here.
It's all there. And no one's...
And you miss this.
You miss it. You miss this conversation. I feel like I have a friend now. Because
like I said, we all have more in common than we do. Mm-hmm. Like, we all kind of want the same thing for each other.
Yeah, but we don't know because we don't communicate. We don't talk. It's as simple as that. Of people sitting down, realizing that reality, that fact. But we're just inundated with bull. And it benefits the people that crave control. If I can control the masses, then I'm good.
There's a lot of money in it.
It's a lot of money in it.
Yeah. Have you thought about starting a church?
No one's ever asked me that. The word church tends to alienate people.
Well, how would you say it? Would you prefer revolution?
Oh, that's even worse. Then people be going for my head then.
Well, this was a revolution.
It was.
I mean, that's in your DNA.
It is. But times are different. In a sense, in 1988, you were able to do those things and be outward about it.
You know what the number one song was in 1988?
What?
Faith by George Michaels.
One of my favorite songwriters, one of my favorite artists of all time.
What's your favorite song George wrote?
He has a few. Jesus to a Child. It's absolutely beautiful. He has a line that says, it's very simple. I've been loved, so I know just what love is. That shit is dope. That's a dope line. That's wisdom at its highest level. It's basically saying that I will not accept anything else. I know it when I see it, when I feel it. I know what love is because I've been loved. That's crazy. That's like one of the best lines he's ever written. And it's like a half a bar. And that sticks with me. Another one is when he wrote that song about him being caught in the bathroom from, trying to play tiddlywinks with some stranger. The song's called Outside. And he says a line, he's got a few bars that I love. And this is how I feel about life sometimes. Chris, when he says, well, my angel, he says, don't you worry about the things they're saying. He says, got no friends in high places and the game that you gave away wasn't worth playing. Oh.
Okay, let me...
I got that though. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like, I understood what he was saying. Like, I understood, at least I think I do. I understood that like, yo, bro, what you thought was it.
Okay, let me read
it. Like, don't trip.
This. These are the days of the open hand. They will not be the last. Look around now. These are the days of the beggars and the choosers. This is the year of the hungry man whose place is in the past, hand in hand with ignorance and legitimate excuses. The rich declare themselves poor, and most of us are not sure if we have too much, but we'll take our chances because God stopped keeping score. I guess somewhere along the way, he must have let us all out to play, turned his back, and all God's children crept out the back door. And it's hard to love because there's so much to hate, hanging on to hope when there is no hope to speak of. And the wounded skies above say it's much, much too late. Well, maybe we should all be praying for time.
Is that George?
Yeah. He was the best.
George was crazy. Like a lot of, like, don't get caught up in the fluorescent gloves and the wake up before that whole thing. Like, he was heavy. He was heavy. And
this is today.
Yeah, that is today.
And this is
100%.
1990.
George Michael, the person that everybody looks at him as one way. Again, that's the beauty of a man and a woman at the same. And when you get into the innards of a person, and you really they really speak on what they really feel and understand about life, it enriches you.
Listen to this. So, second verse. These are the days of the empty hand, and then he says, you hold on to what you can. And charity is a coat we wear twice a year. Christmas and what's the other one?
Right.
This is the year of the guilty man. Your television takes a stand, and you find that what is over there is over here. So you scream from behind your door, so what's mine is mine and not yours, and I may have too much, but I'll take my chances because God stopped keeping score. And I just love the line where he says he turned his back and all God's children crept out the back door. It's like he's not looking, so we're going to behave in this manner. Because
people always tend to talk about there's like a evil cabal that runs the world and, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. And there's like this sect of humans that are just running everything, right? And maybe it's the Libra in me, but there has to be a balance, right? I feel like if there's an evil group of people, where's the good group? Where's the people that Robert Plant was talking about in Kashmir? You know what I'm saying? like, where are those elders that understood the path to life and its future? Where are they? Where are those people? Where are y'all hiding? Like, why aren't you guys
come out
like the Avengers and fight Thanos off and its minions? Like, where are you? Where are these people? Because all we talk about are the evil people that run the planet, but there's got to be a good group. I can't, and maybe this is the naive part of me. I cannot believe that all billionaires are evil. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that all people of wealth and of status and of power are just evil people doing evil things behind their big houses and apartments and things of that nature. Again, I'm pouring myself out as an innocent here. I don't know if any of that is even true.
Don't you have friends that are billionaires?
I do.
Yeah. So what's your opinion of them?
They're good people.
Yeah.
They are good people. What I'm saying is,
I mean, most of the billionaires I know are running from something.
But see, that's my part. They're running.
Well, there's something in their past and they're trying to prove something. And so it's never enough. They have an empty thing. Because, like, you can live pretty good on 20 million.
Yeah, you don't have to have 20 billion.
Yeah, they're running from something. And
that's the problem. It's like, I
think that it's a combination of that and the system. The system has to be redone in a way. Like, the system isn't serving us anymore.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. The system won't. So that's why there has to be a Bruce Wayne that puts on a fucking bat suit, figuratively, and fights the system. Because that was his whole deal. Like, he was the guy that stood up against the corruption of Gotham City. The system.
You don't think Elon's doing that a little bit?
In what way?
In just trying to shine a light on where it's all going and the way that it's all kind of sleight of hand. Like,
I don't think so, because I think he's playing that same game. Like, when you have your hands that deep into the government, it's hard for you not to become the villain. Not to mention some of the things and some of the actions and the things that and the people he supports is a little questionable. Let's put it this way. I don't think, and I'm gonna put it very bluntly, I don't think that Elon is fighting for me, for somebody that looks like me. He's not.
I understand that.
He's not. He's not fighting for someone that looks like me. Like, he's not doing that.
But on the flip side of that is, like, so just think about the amount of money California has spent on the homeless here. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, hundreds of billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And there's absolutely that makes no sense. The fraud and the amount of money that we spend on things and what we get in return,
right,
is a problem.
No, it is. It absolutely is.
And we're not allowed to question it.
Right.
And I'm kind of a person that likes to question. Like,
me too.
Show me then if it's all legit, then let's have transparency.
You're right. But my thing is, I'm not necessarily just looking at what he's saying, but I'm looking at the man. I'm looking at the man himself. I'm looking at what he's actually done. How the world has changed for the better because he exists. Okay, he made a few electric cars and he sent some rockets into space.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about we're not allowed to look and he's looking. Like,
well, yeah,
if we
he's
wanted
looking,
to fix the system, you would have the same education for kids in Compton that you do in Brentwood.
And he's taking that away. And what
he's not even addressing that, but I'm saying we would have to redo the system in a way that everybody has equal opportunity from the very beginning.
My thing is this little system that he created, this Doge system or whatever that he created, was designed to do the digging, the dredging, as far as like what's corrupt in the government and so on and so forth. And so far, he's caused more chaos than order.
There's always chaos when there's that much change. You're talking about software from the 1960s that has been allowed to be that way because you can hide behind it. Mm-hmm. But when you start to look and you start to connect it, you start to see that people are getting away with a lot of stuff.
Mind you, I don't. There's always some truth to certain things. But the point is, leave certain things that you have no understanding alone. Like, why fire innocent people from their jobs? Like, they're not the problem. It's their bosses. Like, the people that are being left out in the cold with no means of income or anything like that, that's not helping them.
Yeah. It's heavy-handed for sure.
Yeah, nor is that creating a level of security for people.
It creates a lot of confusion.
Articulate what it is you're trying to do. He hasn't done it well. My thing is, I'm all good with you, bro. Like, you know, if your intentions are pure, but you're supposed to be this intelligent guy.
He's on the spectrum. He's not a charismatic communicator.
Okay, so my point is, but you put yourself in that spot. You're the one jumping up and down behind the guy that's in the office because you wanted the attention. Okay, now that you got the floor, you can say something. Say something that actually means that holds some weight, so people can entrust in you. But he hasn't. All he's done was fuck up and fire innocent people and help support a guy who's taking away the education that you were speaking of and taking away certain benefits for people that are less fortunate. Where is the good in that?
Yeah,
I don't understand. Listen, again, I'm not a political scientist, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, you're just an entertainer. Shut up." Well, f you, okay? Because at the end of the day, I'm a citizen too. I'm not just a singer. Just like you're not just a person that flips burgers at Bob's Big Boy or some shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not judging you. You know what I'm saying? So my point is that I'm a person, just like you, the judgmental asshole that is tapping on their phones or computers talking about I should just shut up and sing.
I understand what you're saying. I just kind of am so frustrated with the system. I'm excited that somebody's actually in there looking, and
I'm all about
their
But guess what? You know who's been just as upset about the system? My people.
Oh,
so if anybody,
the system isn't fair. The system
always
still
been unfair.
It needs to be fixed.
It's always been unfair.
And it starts with schools. It starts, with a lot of things.
And let's.
But we're not talking about those things. We're talking about all kinds of other stuff. But
you know why?
I would love to change the focus to actually we got to pay teachers more. The education system has to be fair for everybody.
That's right.
And we have to have after school programs, and we got to invest in these kids. Our kids have low self-esteem. They're disenchanted. They're not patriotic because we're not serving them.
History has shown.
We're leaving it to chance.
History has shown all the way down back to the dates of when Egypt was a kingdom, that when you have equal educational system for a nation, it thrives.
It also says who you are and what you believe.
It thrives. But so my point is,
like, if you're the governor of California and you won't send your kid to school in Compton, you should overspend on that until you would, because it shows, like, we can stand there and say that we believe in diversity and we care, but our actions and what we're actually doing say way more about who we are than what we say.
It goes back to what I was saying. It's about a person's spirit. It's not about what's right and what's wrong. It's about a person's spirit. Because you're absolutely right. That makes no sense, but it's being done anyway. Why?
Well, and it's easy to distract us. Like, we get distracted, but we shouldn't stand for it.
There are people in the world that just don't like other people because they're different from them. Let's be very clear. It's funny that when I hear, like, for example, the NFL had this campaign at one point where it says "End racism," and it starts with us and all this other stuff, and that sounds real honorable and noble, right? We treat racism like it's some invisible force shield that is blocking the growth of the planet Earth, and we just can't get out of it, and we have to fight together to fight this invisible bully called racism. It's a person. It is a human being walking around saying, "I hate Mexicans." It's not some spirit. It's a human. It's a human that we see every day, that runs businesses, that's in Congress, that runs entertainment, that runs sports. They're people. You get rid of them, and I don't mean in a violent way. I'm talking about put them away, because they are stopping the growth of the world, because they're in existence and they're in power. Racism is not some invisible bully. There are people on this earth walking amongst us that are creating these environments. That's the problem. But we refuse to talk about it because it makes a certain group of people uncomfortable. And that's the problem. I see black folks on TV every day, articulate as speaking about the conditions of society and the government and health and medicine and all those other things. And it doesn't change. Mind you, I'm in the music business. So I've seen people make miracles happen for artists that they want to succeed. And they might not be as talented. They may not be as good, but this big guy likes them. So they move the whole table.
Yeah, everything lines up.
It doesn't matter what I think. Big guy thinks he's great, or she's great, or they're great. So they're gonna be great.
And that's happening in every industry.
Every
all
industry.
over. Yeah.
The world is led by choices of greater humans, meaning as far as status.
I think what actually is happening on the ground shows more who we are than any conversation or idealized version of anything.
Correct.
How we treat our kids, the schools, the opportunity.
Correct.
Really shows what we believe.
Stop
And we're
putting,
distracting everybody with everything else.
stop putting more police in the hood. You know what you do in the hood? You give them funds to build the community up. Once you build the community up, once you start planting flowers and trees and start painting the walls and all of those things and start funneling money into those particular neighborhoods.
Opportunity, self-esteem.
That creates a pride within the inhabitants, within
agree.
the denizens of the people that
Also,
are there.
I would pay more to have the police come from that neighborhood.
Understand?
Shouldn't be a bunch of white dudes bombing in there.
They don't understand the culture.
Because I'll tell you a story. When I was a kid, I got arrested when I was 16. We graduated junior high and we went and got beer and we got caught at this creek, right? Here's what happened to me, which is different than what happens to other kids. Is the cops, got us or whatever, and the one cop handcuffed me, and as he's putting me in the back of the car, he goes, "Have you ever been and he makes me sit in the car for like 30 minutes. And then he comes, lets me out of the car, unhandcuffs me, and he says, "You're Dick's kid, right?" So my grandpa's a fireman. And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, good luck when you get home," and let me go. And that's a fatherly lesson that cop was trying to teach me. He was trying to scare me, but he let me go.
Right.
But I didn't have a record. That doesn't happen.
No.
But if they were from the community, you were seeing your own kid.
Yes.
That's what's missing.
I hate to say it, ladies and gentlemen, but this country has a history of hateration. And what I mean by that is, just like you said,
I think more worse than that is indifference. Because it's really easy to be indifferent. There's a lot of people that don't hate, but they're indifferent to it.
The reason why I say that, and this is the more popular thing because I guess it's become more mainstream to talk about this particular place in Oklahoma. And they call it Black Wall Street. It's a group of black people that built up the neighborhood, pulled up their own bootstraps, and created a small, thriving, successful neighborhood. Wasn't bothering nobody. You had rich, affluent black people walking around in mink coats and Cadillacs or cars, whatever. I don't know if it was Cadillacs, but it was cars, and they had their own planes. Everything that you're talking about. Had their own hospitals, movie theaters, everything. It was hateration. That's not a word, but it was hateration that burnt that place down. It was a false accusation of a rape that made another group of people on the other side of the tracks that weren't as affluent. They could have been, just like you said, it's all about you. They could have built up their city too. But for some reason, they just didn't know how. And they looked over and they saw those pretty cars and those pretty dresses and suits, buildings, happy people. and they just couldn't stand it. So they burned the bitch down. That's hate. That's it. It has nothing to do with anything else. That's fucking hate of a person that didn't look like them, that is thriving. How dare they thrive on what is considered my soil, my land? That's hate. Oh, and then it happened in North Carolina, in Rosewood, Florida, in Central Park. Spirits is another word for energy. And what's that famous thing about energy? It cannot be destroyed, but it's transferred. Like I said, like, you understand what I'm talking about? That energy just spread throughout the country. You've heard of the Red Summer, right? 1919, one of the most violent points and moments in American history, where, to sum it up, white folks just went fucking crazy and started burning down and killing as many Negroes as they could, just because they could. It's hatred. That's hateration. And this country has a deep history of it. And I'm sorry. This is where my dad is coming in. This is where Thurman Sanders is speaking.
You got to find us that recording.
I'm gonna try. I'm looking for
I'd love to end this with that.
Yes, but that's what I mean. I know firsthand, and I'm gonna look into the camera for this. I know firsthand who my people are, because I've grew up around them. Yeah, we all have our issues, but who doesn't? But we're some of the most loving, most caring human beings on the planet. You ever go to a barbecue? You ever go to a block party in the hood? It's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever experience. The food's amazing. The music is good. The people are beautiful. That's my people. That's my people. And I love them. Yeah, we got our issues, but they're beautiful. And they have every right to enjoy life just as much as any person that doesn't look like them. And it's because of hateration that we are constantly having to start from the bottom. It's hateration that DEI was removed, where if the tards that actually researched DEI realized that it only benefited 3% of Black people. But because it had something to do with people that didn't look like them, they had to remove it. That is hate. Where you will put yourself in harm's way just to make sure that someone else doesn't get what you perceive what you should be getting. That is a level of psychological defect, because that's what hatred is. That's what racism is. It's a defect. It is what it is. It's a defect in someone's brain to think that no matter what you are, if you don't look like me, I hate you. What is wrong with you? You have a problem. You have a very deep psychological issue that you and your friends need to go see a shrink for, because that is bad. That is defective. And it's happened time and time and time and time again in this country. That's the problem.
I understand. I kind of have a different take on it, though. I feel like DEI is treating the symptom, not the cause. To really fix it, you have to start with the kids, education and opportunity.
We're saying the same
DEI is
thing.
way after the fact.
We're saying the same thing.
Because
we're like, not teach the kids, just like you said.
They
education.
gotta have self-esteem. They gotta understand.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
But where does it start?
Everywhere.
Right. But
and that's probably the problem, is it starts everywhere, because it's
the core of every civilization is family. Every civilization, it's the family. Just like you said, it starts with looking in the mirror. In your house, how you raise your tribe. We're saying the same thing. It's about education. You're absolutely right. But not from a scholastic standpoint. Because before we ever go to school, we're taught by our parents how to be, how to live, how to function, how to communicate. It starts in the crib when we're crawling. And we're being taught all of those things. Before we step foot in any institution, we're already who we are. And then we just implement it as we go along our scholastic careers. But it starts at the crib. We're saying the same thing.
And also it starts with the parents having opportunity to, the home is shattered when there is an opportunity.
Right.
And, all of that. Yeah.
We are saying the same thing. And that's the point. Like that we are saying the same thing, but we have to prioritize everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, big question.
Yep.
How did Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, change your life?
First off, let's not speak from a deep standpoint. Let's just talk about the music itself, right? Before this album came out, they had an album called Yo Bum Rush the Show. And they had this song called Rebel Without a Pause. And they have this probably irritated the shit out of our parents, but whenever this music came on, it's this high horn that they sampled, I think, from James Brown. And it's going through the whole track. And as a kid, I thought it was the dopest shit I've ever heard in my life. Like it had the funky drummer behind it, and you had Chuck's heavy vibrato, his bassy voice kicking some fly shit. You got Flavor Flav doing his thing and all this other stuff, and it grooved, and it was loud, and it was bass heavy, and it had 808s to it, and it was one of the most unbelievable things I've ever heard. I've never heard anything like this before. So fast forward to this, they just turned it up and just made a whole album full of just sounds and beats and 808 drums and everything that a kid my age absolutely loved. So that's what Public Enemy represented outside of their souls, as far as like what they said. You could not deny in 1988 any of their songs. Like there was always some older kid with a big booming system in his car where you could hear like 6 blocks away, where all you hear is like, and it was most of the time them. And that's why I like Public Enemy. It was like they had the type of music that I always enjoyed and always wanted to eventually do. So they inspired me to be an artist.
Have you ever told Chuck T?
You know, it's funny. I've met Flav a few times. Like Flav's the homie, but I think I might have met Chuck once. It was short, and I remember trying to just get into a comment, but we had to kind of go. But he's like one of my heroes, man.
We had Flavor Flav on Business Outlaws, and we filmed it in Vegas, and I was just impressed, like how just smart and an entrepreneur that he is.
Yeah, and a great piano player. He can play the hell out of a piano. He's super.
There's a lot of layers to him.
A lot of layers. So yeah, man, it's like when I see them, and I guess that's why you connect with artists, I see myself. They do things that I wish I could have done. They said things I wish I could have said. They spoke on topics so articulate that I strived to be that smart. So if anything, they made me want to be better. Because they were just so, every time I would see an interview with Chuck and, he's speaking on topics and things like nature, it was just like, I want to talk like that. I want to be that informed. I want to be that in tune with the world and its struggles.
It's beautiful. I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
I love the conversation and I learned a lot.
Me too.
If there's, is there anything else you want to say or talk about?
Choose love, guys. That's the only way we're going to get through this stuff. Like, the world is trying to fool us that The way is separation. It's not. We have to understand and respect each other's individuality. We're not the same, and that's okay. It's okay. It's okay to be who you are and to be respected as such. I'm not asking anybody to conform to anything that I've said today. But all I'm saying is at least give the person that's in the same world that you live in, that we're all responsible for, just a little space, just a little time to figure things out. Allow them to experience their humanity. That's it. And you'll see the world change. You'll see flowers bloom out the concrete. I promise.
It's great.
Thank you.
They didn't succeed. Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, all them people tried to change people to make them nicer. We still the same rotten son of a bitches we always were. And I don't know how to do it. But I hope somehow we do.
Yeah.
Got to figure it out. They had the right idea, but they weren't able to change it. We'll see.
Here we go. 1, 2.
Before the crash, before one of us unplugs, before we hit reset and declare hearts are done. Before we drag our words into the trash, let these orange embers turn to ash. I remember it wasn't long ago that we were rolling one up on a hand-me-down couch in Fishtown. We stand in the afterglow, and then we prayed to the cracks in the ceiling like they were God. Don't forget to press save. 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 Let's go down to the Schuylkill, throw our phones away. Let's walk through Fairmount Park and restart the way. Back to the strawberry Libra. Back to the bucket list wars. Back to kinetic magnets that used to be our pores. And remember, it wasn't long ago that we were rolling one up on a hand-me-down couch in Fishtown. We stared in the afterglow, and then we prayed to the cracks in the ceiling like they were God. Please don't let this slip away in the monotony of living day to day. Don't forget to press. Don't forget to press. Don't forget to press. Don't forget to press. I'm sorry if I forgot how to play. I got lost in the storm of a digital wave, and I took this connection for granted. So let me put a daisy back in your hair and tell you all the reasons why I am nothing, nothing without you. It wasn't long ago when that we were rolling one up on a hand-me-down couch in Fishtown. We stared in the afterglow, and then we prayed to the cracks in the ceiling like they were God. Please don't let this slip away in the monotony of living day to day. Well, you work so hard to find love. Don't forget to press A. 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 Oh. Namaste.